My name's Liam. I'm one of the Hustle Brothers here, and today we're explaining cover calls with 100 farm bales. Now, cover calls has been a very interesting topic in relation to Rocket Lab lately, and I thought, do you know what? There's no better place to explain it than at my everyday work at the farm. So this is going to appeal to not only the Rocket Lab investors, but it'll also appeal to anyone that invests in any stock. What we find is an awful lot of people think that cover calls is an easy way to make money. And I'm going to explain how, yes, that can be the case. It can get you reoccurring income, but it also can be detrimental to your whole position, to your whole portfolio. Now, what I'm going to do a quick run through on the basics behind cover calls before we get into do I do cover calls on the likes of Rocket Lab. I'm going to keep referring to Rocket Lab in this because it seems to be quite controversial recently around the whole sector. So we need to start with each of these farm bales are worth around $25, we'll say. This time of year, they'd be worth $25. Now, I need to explain what a farm bale is. So your bale there is mowed from the grass here and rolled up and put into plastic. And they're good for about 2 years you'd get out of a bale. Now, you have two choices. You can either feed it to your cattle. So the likes of this is what it looks like when it's been cut up and fed to the cattle. And why would you do this? So when they're in the likes of a shed, they have no ability to get to grass. So that way you have to supplement them with feed. So you can either feed them the likes of their natural forage, which we'd call that silage. Silage comes from the bales. You then can feed them cattle nuts. Now, cattle nuts are very expensive. They're high in protein, very expensive. And what we can call cattle nuts is leverage in the stock market. And we can get onto that in another video. But I said, these bales at today's price are worth around $25. And why is that? Because there is a massive supply at the moment. Because if you look, the weather over here is quite nice for grass growth, and it also allows you to have cattle out on the field. Now, I do run some quite heavy cattle. So these can't stay out on the field all year round. They would dig up the ground as soon as the ground gets wet because they'd be too heavy for it. So they have to go in the shed. So you're looking at these 100 bales here and you're thinking, right, if they're worth $25 each, you've 100 of them there, that's $2,500 sitting there. But what if I told you this 100 bales is worth $60 each to me? That's $6,000. You're going to say I'm mad. And that's what a long-term investor thinks. Now, if we compare it to the likes of Rocket Lab, look, I'm going to be honest. Lots of you are afraid to say your price targets. What is a fair price for you to sell your Rocket Lab shares at? I'm going to be honest. At the Hustle Brothers here, I don't care whether you're a die-hard Rocket Lab fan, you're a die-hard Archer fan. I'm all about getting our community to financial freedom. So when I say I'm willing to sell my bales at $60, that means that is a happy price for me. Some of you Rocket Lab boys and girls are going to say $1,000 I'm not selling until Rocket Lab hits $1,000. That's fair play. That everyone has their own goals. But let's cut out the bullshit and be honest with yourselves. You need to think as a long-term investor, what price would you be happy to sell your RKLB shares at? Is it $100? Is it $200? Is it $400? Now, for the rest of the video, keep that price target in your head. I'm not on about for quick gains. I'm on about, as a long-term position, what will get you to financial freedom. And that's going to be a very important part of this video. So, we're going to get into covered calls. So first, what you need to understand, how I'm going to explain it with Bales, is each bale here, this big black fella here, is worth $25 to me. We're going to call that a stock. One of them is a stock. I have 100 of them here. So say that is 100 shares in RKLB. So I have the ability to write, or not write, to sell a covered call contract. So with a covered call contract, one contract is equal to 100 shares. So you've seen many guys around the place make large amounts of money doing covered calls, and it's reoccurring, and it's all happy days when the sun's shining. If I was getting $30 for one of these, yes, of course, I'm gonna write a contract for it when the weather's like this. But let's get into exactly what happens. So, selling the covered call, what you are more or less doing is you are waiving your right by signing the contract on selling the covered call for 100 shares of this at, we'll say, a $30 strike price in a month's time. What does that mean? So what that basically means is any time within the month, if anything happens, doesn't matter whether it's a recession in the stock market, whether it's a bull run in the stock market, whatever price fluctuation happens, you are waiving your right, your ability to own these shares. You're waiving your right and saying, do you know what? If these at any point are worth $30, I will sell all 100 of them for $30. Now, you're going to say to me, how do you make money selling the covered call? So I said these are worth $25 each. So if you go onto your broker, you may see a $30 strike price for a month's time is what? 50 cents, we'll say. So what does that mean? So that means for every bale I have here, someone is going to pay me 50 cents for me to sign the contract. So that then means 50 cents by 100 is what? I'd get $50 in the month for risking my 100 bales here. Now, that's all fine and dandy if the weather stays the same. But the problem is, if the weather does not stay the same and the rain starts pouring in, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to bring my cattle in. But if I bring my cattle in, that is due to adverse conditions. But what has the adverse conditions done? It's actually increased the demand for these boys. So these boys are going to be worth even more because the demand is going to go up. Now, if the demand goes up and these go up, and say the strike price is reached, the going rate round here is $30. Well, then a man can come in his tractor and he can pick up my 100 bales. Yes, I get them at that $30. Yippee, I get the profit. But I no longer have my shares. So then what's the problem? I've made money. What am I going to do now? Well, you can look at it in this way. If you're bullish in the likes of Rocket Lab, and we've now hit that $30 strike price, these conditions have happened. So Neutron has now launched, or Neutron is now coming to the pad, and we're now sitting at $80. You've hit the $80 strike price. Well, the only way for it really is up. So, like I said here, weather's got bad. I've had to bring the cattle in, the demand's gone up. I have these all gone. I need more bales. So, if I want my shares back, I'm going to end up having to pay $40, $50, $60. So really, have I made money? Well, no. To get 100 of them back, I have to pay $4K. And what did I make? I made $3K because I sold at that $30 strike price. Yes, I got the premium of $50, but that is no good to me when the price of this has gone up. As a long-term investor, this is more valuable to me, and that's what I'm saying. You need to know what your price target is to weigh up your risk reward. So, why do I say this is worth $60? Well, to me, $60 is the ideal price that I can then go into a better opportunity. I can go and buy nuts, and it's a better opportunity for me. Like, if Rocket Lab hit 150, 200, some people may say, look, I'm at financial freedom now. There's better opportunities in the likes of Tesla. It doesn't matter where you want it. So that's why you need to keep it in your head. So ideally, I would not sell cover calls in a stock that I'm a long-term holder in. And the reason why it's good today, it's a bit like the marshmallow test. We'll do a video on the marshmallow test. Short-term gain is long-term pain. Short-term pain is long-term gain. $50 in the hand today is not worth, what, 3.5K tomorrow. So what would I do? If you're bullish on Rocket Lab long-term, you need to think of this. They're worth $60 for me, and they're $25 today. So what would be the smart move? If you wanted to make the most amount of money possible, I would not be looking at the likes of cover calls. Cover calls, yes, it sounds like easy money, and the only reason you see people making loads and loads of money is because they have thousands and thousands of shares of Rocket Lab. Now the thing is, when you have thousands and thousands and thousands of shares, they can risk a certain amount. They may already want to liquidate at that. They're not going to put themselves out. But if you're trying to reach financial freedom and you're an everyday working person, you don't want to lose all the stock you have in a company that you believe is going very, very far. But what would I do? Well, I'd just go and I'd accumulate more. The more I accumulate, yes, €25 or $25 today, and it's $60 tomorrow, in a year's time, in 2 years' time. Now, what if it never reaches that so-called fantasy price that I have in my head? Well, that's okay, because eventually what is going to happen as a long-term investor, I believe, is the likes of Rocket Lab. Well, Rocket Lab will start paying dividends. And how am I going to compare that to firm bales? Well, yes, they expire in 2 years' time. So what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start feeding them to my own. Rather than trying to sell them for 60, I will get the benefit out of them still. They will pay me dividends, and they'll pay me back in the weight on the cattle. This has been a bit of a random video. I completely understand that. But I thought, let's try and make a fun way of explaining cover calls to the everyday person. Now, when would I sell a cover call? Well, you know me, I got caught in a trading position in Redwire. I have a long-term position in Redwire, but I over-allocated. I was trying to make a nice bit of money, fire it back into Rocket Lab, and yes, I got caught my pants down. I'm down about 40%. So to me, if I don't want a position that big in Redwire, I can start selling cover calls back at my cost price. Now, if I sell it back at my cost price, yes, when you're 40% down, it's going to take a long time to make any kind of money, but any money is better than no money. I'm willing to sell out at a wash there. Look, it'll get to the stage where I wouldn't even mind losing a bit of money on Redwire just to get it out and get into my opportunity like Rocket Lab. But our problem is, when you're messing around with the likes of cover calls, you're constantly risking your assets. You need to think of them as assets. Would you risk your house doing it? No. So why are you risking something that can buy you many houses? My name's Liam. I am one of the Huss brothers here. This has been a fun way of explaining cover calls to you. If you like this type of content, make sure to bang the subscribe button. We're on track to hit 5,000 pretty soon. Guys, community keeps growing and we just want to make it better and better. So thank you for listening, guys, and we'll see you then.